This is the how-to instruction video for your rope basket tray kit. Here's what's in your kit. The how-to instructions card, 2 colours of wrapping cord, filler rope and a chunky needle. You'll also need some sharp scissors. Okay, let's get started. To begin with, we're going to take our filler rope and cut off one end at an angle, roughly 2 centimetres long, like so. And then with our main colour of braided cord, I've cut about a 6 metre length, and I've threaded my needle onto one end so it sits roughly just under halfway. Now I'm right-handed, so I'd like to use the wrapping cord in my right hand to wrap and hold the filler rope in my left hand. So I'm laying them down in opposite directions. So I've got the long end of filler rope going out to the left and the long end of wrapping cord going out to the right. And I'm going to pinch them together with roughly 4 or 5 centimetres either side. And I'm going to start wrapping just back from where my angled part is and wrap round, securing this shorter end of wrapping cord in place as I go. So I'm going to wrap round, working towards the longer end of filler rope as I'm going. And I'm going to wrap round, and as I go, little tip, you want to start bending this filler rope into a loop shape, because this will create the bottom of our tray here. So I'm going to wrap round, like I say, covering this end and pulling it quite nice and securely, and I want to go round about 16 or 17 times. Again, giving it a little bend as you go helps the loop create a better shape. And is that 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and that's my 17th there. Then I'm going to bend it round into a loop and squeeze both ends together in one hand. And now I'm going to wrap round both bits to secure my loop in place. And I'm going to go round about 6 times. Again, give it a little bend as you go. So that's 5, 6, or until you've got the end that you started secured in under those wraps. And you want to bend it round now, and we're going to do our first stitch. Now this bit is the trickiest because you're trying to hold it all together in one hand. After you've done a couple of stitches, it'll hold itself in shape and it gets a lot easier. So bend it round back on itself, and now I'll just turn it over. You can see this first stitch we're going to make wants to line up with the end of your wraps with the start of the loop, so you get a nice straight line there. So take the end of your needle and pass it through the middle of your loop and pull all of the cords that you've got, so that all that 6 metres all the way through. Just tease it as you go with your hand, just to make sure there's no tangles or knots in it. Just untangle them as you go. There we go. So that's the first stitch, and then we lay the cord back up next to those wraps, and we're going to start wrapping again. Now for this first part, I'm going to do about 3 wraps between stitches, And as you go out building up your bowl with the different rounds, you might want to increase it to 4 stitches, just because the diameter of the bowl increases. So I'm going to wrap 1, 2, 3 times for this one, and then going to take the end of my needle again and pass it through the centre and pull all the cord through. And that's my second stitch. Lay the cord back up again and start wrapping. 1, 2, 3 times. So now it's getting easier because I'm not having to squeeze it together quite so much. It's sort of holding its shape. And again, pass my needle through the centre. Now with your stitches, you want to pull them quite securely, but not too tight, because it will make it hard. On your next round, you'll go through this line here, not the centre, so you need to be able to get your needle through that. So don't make it too hard on the next round. So again, that's 3 wraps, and now I'm going to lay it back up next to that stitch. And again, another tip, if you pull, when you're wrapping, if you pull your cord to the right as you wrap, it helps avoid any gaps appearing. And I'm going to carry on like this until I get back to where I started. So now, as you can see, I've been 1 round all the way around this loop now, and I'm back to the start. So I'm going to carry on building up my rounds, but only this time with my stitches, I'm going to go into this gap created here by the round, not into the central loop. So I should just flip it over so you can see. I'm going to pass my needle through the gap here, and again pull it all the way through, remembering if you get a twist in your wrapping cord, you can just run your fingers along it and help ease the knots all the way through, and then back up. And I'm going to start wrapping around and carry on as I have been doing. And now I think I'm going to wrap 4 times between stitches, just to give it a bit more space as I go. So that's 3. And then now again, I'm passing my needle through the gap between the rounds. And the idea is so you make a nice even pattern. It wants to be a bit like a fan coming out from the middle or your stitches. So I've gone for 4 wraps now, but you might want to stick with 3 and it'd be really dense, your bowl, or you might want to make it 5 between your stitches, which will be slightly less dense, slightly looser bowl. If you're making a really big item, I would recommend not doing too big gaps because it will be a bit less stable. So that's 3, and stitch into the gap between your rounds. Give it a wiggle if it won't come through. And it's a nice craft, this, because you can pick it up and put it down, apart from the central loop when you begin, but you can pick it up and put it down and keep coming back to it. You don't have to just do it all in one go. It's quite therapeutic. So now I've done a few more rounds, but I've run out of wrapping cord. So I'm going to show you how to join in a new piece. So I've cut another 6 metre length and threaded my needle on again. So you want to make sure when you run out of cord that you've got enough left to finish on a stitch as opposed to a wrap. So what we want to do is pull the cord that you've just finished with up tightly next to your wrapping cord, and then lay your new piece of cord with that as well and pinch it all together firmly in one hand, and then start wrapping with your new length, holding all the other pieces together in your other hand and wrap round tightly just to secure the ends a couple of times, and then once you feel it's secure you can snip off the ends, and you can do them at different lengths just to stagger the thickness of when you're wrapping around. It just makes it a bit smoother. There we go. Snip those off, and then again squeeze with one hand, pinching them together, and continue wrapping as you have been doing. And that's I think now for these next rounds I'm going to add 5 or 6 stitches in, in between my stitches, just because my base is getting bigger. So then once that's covered, you don't have to hold on as tightly then. And that's for, there we go, we'll have 5 now. And then carry on stitching and wrapping as you have been. So now you've joined in your new piece of cord, you can continue. And we're building up the base here. So every now and again, if you put it down flat on your worktop and press it down just to keep it as flat as possible. So I'm going to continue wrapping and stitching, and on rounds 4 and 6 I'm going to add an extra wrapping between the stitches just to increase it as the radius gets bigger. And I'm going to keep going as I have been like that until I've completed 8 rounds. So now I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 complete rounds, and that's the base of your basket tray done. So the next bit we're going to do, and I've got an example here to show you, is start shaping the sides of your basket tray like this. And for this one we want it to be quite straight from the base to the top. So to do that we need to start raising the rope up onto the last round as we go around. So we want the next round, round 9, to be slightly up and in on round 8. And this is the bit I really love doing because it sort of starts moulding and creating the shape of your finished item. So again, we'll carry on as we have been doing, but you'll see as we go on, we'll slightly bring round 9 in and up to sit gently on top of round 8. So I used about another 3 or 4 new lengths of cord as I finished my base, joining them in as we have been doing. And again, you'll do that for the next few rounds and up your sides. So I'm wrapping around. This is going to be, I'm on 6 wraps in between my stitches at the moment. There, I'm back to the start. I've been all the way round the first of my sides of the basket tray, so that completes round 9. And I'm going to start round 10. And for this one, I want it to sit directly on top of round 9, the previous round. So I want to just pull the filler rope more on top of that last row, so it gives it the straighter side to the basket tray. And I'm going to complete that one as I have been doing, and I've been having 6 wraps between my stitches, so I'm going to carry on with that now. So I've completed round 10 now, all the way round. So that's the end of the main colour of cord. I'm going to swap now to the contrast colour of cord. I have cut my contrast cord in half, so that works out about 7 or 8 metre lengths, 2 7 or 8 metre lengths. If you're finding it a bit hard pulling the whole length of cord through at the start, you can cut it into 3 lengths, but obviously you'll end up with one more join to work with. It's your choice really. So now I'm going to join my contrast colour of cord in, as I have been doing with all the other lengths of cord. So again, I ended on a stitch, and I'm going to wrap the contrast cord now around, there we go, and pull it nice and tightly to make sure it's secure. And I'm going to carry on as I have been doing, wrapping and stitching, and I'm going to carry on for another 2 more rounds, so that'll make it up to round 12. And again, these 2 rounds, I'm going to sit the filler rope directly on top of the last round, so this gives it the flat side. So it's a nice detail when we swap to the contrast colour, so you get the contrast stitch sitting on top of the main colour cord as well. I've been round 2 times now with the contrast cord. So that completes row 12 or round 12, and I'm back to the start again here. So now we need to finish our basket tray with the loop detail. And I've got one here just to show you. This is what we're going to create now. So we want to wrap our filler rope 24 or 25 times now. We're just going to wrap this single piece of filler rope. So it's not stitching at the minute, we're just wrapping. There we go, that's 25 times that I've wrapped around the filler rope. So the next thing to do is bend it back on itself. Like so, to form a loop shape. And I'm going to sit it there, so it lines up, if you can see here, with where the coils started and finished. And now I want to take my needle and put one stitch just to hold it in place a little bit, and I'm going to go down to the first gap, so below that row 12 there, round 12, and I'm going to stitch through. Untangle that as we go. Just to hold it in place whilst we snip off the excess filler rope. Now you want to leave a good 5 or 6 centimetres here, so I'm going to snip off the excess there. And then you want to angle the cord like you did at the start. So I'm going to just angle my cord just to thin it out a bit and make it less bulky. Careful not to cut the stitch you've just made. And careful not to cut your fingers. Right, there we go. So that's a little bit thinner now. I'll turn it back round. And now we are going to cover this last bit of cord here, the last bit of rope, by wrapping around, stitching and wrapping around this part and this round row 12 here. So you need to pull this quite securely. So I've nearly finished stitching my last little bit of filler rope. I'm just going to snip off a few little ends just to get rid of those bits, and then do a couple more stitches around just to cover the last end. One more. There we go. So that's all covered and secure now. So the last thing is to get rid of this end, and we need to just weave it in and out a few times. Just to secure it off so it doesn't come undone. So I'm going to go down a row or around, just straighten it up so it looks nice and even, and then I will come back up on the next round. So we're just wiggling it through just to secure this end. And I'm going to do that probably 4 or 5 times. Go down again, just move along a little bit so it's not all in one place. There we go, and I think I'm going to do one more. I don't really want to go down onto the other colour because I think that might look messy. We'll come up here now. Ooh, give it a little wiggle through. And in there again. And one more down, and then I'm going to take my sharp scissors, straighten that up, take my sharp scissors and snip it off as close as I can. There we go. And then just tuck that end back in just to tidy that up. And get rid of the little end. There we go. And there, that is your basket tray complete. So you can just go round now. If there's any little gaps you can see your filler rope, you can just tweak it with your finger or your scissors just to fill them in and titivate it. There. And I think that's your basket tray now finished. I really hope you enjoyed making your basket tray. Enjoy creating!